Alright, hi everyone. Today we're going to be throwing a chip and salsa bowl. I asked you guys about your opinion on what you'd like to see me throw. It was pretty much a tie between three choices, which was tall vase, large platter, and chip and salsa bowl. So I'll end up probably throwing all three for you guys. So that you guys can see those. No one really wanted to see a cup, which is totally fine. And we'll talk about some of the main differences between the steps, but most of the steps will be exactly the same, just altered to what I'm making. So this will be a chip and salsa bowl. It'll be a lower, wider thing. So you'll see some of the differences between throwing bowls and throwing vases, because things that are lower have some different steps. At the end of this video, there's going to be a Google form quiz. And it's just 5 questions talking about some steps, and I want it to be a quiz. So feel free to, review videos before you take the quiz, and the quiz is just to see where we're at with understanding some of the important things that come to wheel throwing. All right? So today, all I'm asking is that you watch the video, all of it, please, and that you answer the Google quiz questions, 5, maybe 10 questions at the most. On the throwing process. Alright, so we're going to get started. So I dry centered it already. Make sure it's stuck to the wheel. Now this is a lot more clay, so you might hear me not talk as much because it can require a lot more concentration for centering this much clay, for throwing this many things. So I'm really going to go through the steps, but I'm not going to talk as much through them. So I'm centering the clay. This will take me a lot longer than you've seen me do it before because of the amounts of clay. So I'm just bringing it up into a cone-like shape, and then I'm going to be bringing it down. Remember, adding water when I need it. Okay. I'm going to get rid of some of the clay on the bottom, just to help. Okay, coned it up, and I'm going to bring it down. Pressure's at 6, my left hand's catching, and squeezing when I need it. Okay, so because I'm centering something that's lower, my clay is going to be a lot lower to the actual bat than you've seen before. So I'm going to keep centering it. I don't need to bring it up as much because I got rid of the big stuff. And bringing it down. Okay, so what I'm going to do, because it's a chip and salsa bowl, there's going to be a little bowl in the middle, and then the rest is going to be a larger plate. So you'll see me open a lot different, because I'm leaving some clay here in the center to throw the actual salsa part, the part that the salsa goes in. Just compressing the clay, widening it out a little bit. Okay, and now I'm going to slow the wheel down. So I have some clay on the wheel, it's centered, and I'm going to start opening it right here so I can leave space for throwing the salsa part. So I'm just basically opening the form, putting some water in because it needs to be slick, and going down. Compress this clay so it doesn't fly off the wheel. Okay, I'm stopping the wheel, taking my needle tool, if you guys can see it, and then pressing through, putting my finger to the base and pulling out. So that's my base thickness. I don't want to go any thinner than that because I do want to flip it over and trim it. So that's good. It means I do not need to go any bit more to the base. And now I'm just going to open my form. Left hand, pressing out at 3. Need some clay. A lot of people were asking why 3 o'clock. Again, the clay is coming towards you at 3 o'clock, so if you're working over here, you're working against the clay, and there's a lot more chance for your hands to slip and mess up things, the clay to be a lot harder to work with. So when you're at 3 o'clock, it just makes it a lot easier to be throwing. Okay, so I'm just kind of flaring that out. Now I'm going to use my sponge. So this is one of the steps that you guys will actually get to see a lot better now, and that was compressing the floor. So because the clay is so plastic, if I don't compress the floor, there's a good chance that it will crack. Plates are notorious for cracking, and salsa bowls are just as difficult. So compressing the floor just makes sure that all those clay particles are nice and tight, and that there is less chance for something cracking, which is always a big disappointment with plates because you spend a lot of time on them. They take a long time to dry, you know, so for them to crack is kind of a bummer because you spend so much time, and then the clay is pretty much not wasted. You always can reclaim it, but it always just becomes a little difficult when it's just one clay. So I'm just compressing the floor, and now I'm going to start throwing the plate part, or the salsa part. So there's this little piece of clay in the center. I'm just bringing the clay in so I can throw with it. Okay, and now I'm going to open this up, no different than before. Again, checking the depth. This is a lot thicker. I'm going to go a little bit more, because I want them to match, because at the end of the day, consistency is still important. So I put my needle tool in, about a 1/2 inch, put my needle tool in, about a 1/2 inch, and they are good to go. And the hole will go away. You just have to compress the clay, and that hole I just made through my pot will be gone. So now I'm just going to open it up. Compressing the floor. Throwing the clay up. Now you always have to remember that the clay shrinks, so you have to plan for that. So if you make a chip and salsa bowl that is too small, it might not be as much of a functional piece as you might have thought it would be. So you always want to throw a little bit larger than you think. So I'm pulling that clay up at 3 o'clock and flaring it out. Notice that I'm doing the salsa bowl a lot sooner before I'm doing this wall, because once I do this wall and it's up, there's a lot more of a chance that I'm gonna knock into the wall. So I'm always working my way out so that I don't have to go back in here. So I'm just gonna clean it up. Pretty happy with that, won't lie. So remember to be thinking about the steps of throwing. So I open my form, I'm pulling my walls straight up. I'm working at what time? 3 o'clock. It's very important. Not everything happens at 3 o'clock on the wheel, but about 90% of the things will. Using my rib tool to finish it off. And good thing I saw this. So you say I bumped right into it. So that's why things happen on the wheel. I'm just going to fix it back up. It should be okay. You don't want to, never know, muscle memory can come back and it can warp later, but it should be okay because I got it soon. But that does happen. It happens to me too, and it's important to see that. Because everyone goes, oh, you don't make mistakes. Oh, I made plenty of mistakes, believe me. So it's good to kind of see that even I sometimes struggle. So now that I've done that part, I'm going to finish my plate part at 3 o'clock. Pulling the clay up. Taking my time. Gonna get rid of some of the water in here so it doesn't kind of weaken my form and collapse it. And then going back in. And I'm trying to match this height with my bowl. Because when I flip it over and trim it, or I need to get this to be a lot taller, it doesn't kind of crack or do some weird things, or I won't be able to really trim it, and that's my favorite part. And I don't know if I have enough clay. It's probably as much as I can get out of it. Which I think I'm pretty close. So I'm going to throw a little bit more of the inside because I need it to be a little bit taller because I'm going to trim some off. So I'm going to make it a little taller, clean it up. And then I'm going to use my needle tool at 3 o'clock, trim. Stop the wheel. Taking off this part, because I want this part to be lower than my main rim. I'll make it a little lower because I'd want to be safe than sorry. Okay, so remember, think about the steps that I'm doing, because that's what you're going to be quizzed on. Remember, the quiz is just for me to check kind of your knowledge. It is not how you're being assessed. Remember, you're just getting some daily points for all the stuff that you're doing while we are off. And I hope that these videos are helping. You guys seem to be a little bit more engaged than you were last week. So I'm hoping that it's because you like to watch the throwing videos. Cleaning up the rim. Getting the water out. All right, and now I'm done. I have my chip and salsa bowl. This will take a little while to dry. I'll flip it over when it's ready. I'll trim it. Do some design stuff. I'm probably going to keep the rim nice and straight. I kind of like it. Kind of perfect. I'm pretty sure that is a little bit lower. And yeah, alright. So take the quiz about the steps of throwing after this. And have a wonderful day. Alright, bye guys.